Hey, what's up, everybody? I hope y'all are doing well. I want y'all to see this little clip real quick, and then I want to turn the camera around and talk about it for a second.
China, listen. If y'all watching this, China, I have nothing against y'all. I want to personally say thank you. What they did was wrong. 75 cents for Gucci slides. I got about 15 pair of these things in my damn closet. What the hell's going on, man? 75 cents.
Ooh, 75 cents. Hold up. All right, so that dude that was just talking, I guess he bought like 15 pair of them slides, and then they was each like $450. Somebody in the comments said that the knockoffs were the real, and the people that are selling the real have been knockoffs the whole time. They're putting made in France and UK and all these places. And I'm gonna talk about that in a second, but look at this lady's closet.
Look at this. Jack Moose, Louis, Hermes, Louis, Dior, three Chanels, Fendi, YSL, Chanel, Louis, Chanel, Louis, Gucci, Chanel. All of this stuff that I spent my hard-earned money on, all of this, are you freaking telling me that I overpaid for all of this shit?
Overpaid? The percentage of what it costs compared to what people are buying things for? People will be like, your prices will be lowered if it's made in America, but that's not true. They can make this stuff in America too, and they have destroyed the world with inflation. So I'm gonna turn this camera around and we're gonna talk about it for a little second. Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a good day. I'm just chilling here with Dracula, little biscuit head. I went and bought another cube, and I've just been solving them. I went up to a coworker, and I was like, I showed him the red, white, and blue, and then I showed him the green. I showed him the green, yellow, and red side, and I was like, look, African American. Thought that was pretty funny. But no, I want to talk to y'all real quick about inflation, but I want to talk to you about why inflation exists, because I've said this in many other videos, but I don't think people picked up on it. And I've been talking about this for a long time. You as a customer, me as a customer, we have hardly no influence on how much something costs. Now we do because of something called supply and demand. If we're not buying something, somebody's going to tank, like Target, who tried to make fun and talk about DEI and stuff, and now they're begging for customers using black DEI actors and actresses in their commercials. So funny. But anyways, the point is, what I wanted to say is that I thought people figured by now that the corporate world is complete bullshit. I mean, I hear a lot of people talking about clothes, but we've been to about clothes. You know, the little jokes about sweatshops and little Indian and Chinese and Filipino, like just random countries making, because they ended child labor laws in the United States a long time ago, or they created child labor laws for the United States a long time ago because they had children working here too. But it's not like that for the rest of the world. A lot of the rest of the world have different laws in place that don't really protect children as much as the United States does sometimes. But it's a catch-22, because if you look at like CPS and Child Protective Services and some of these like orphanages and foster care places, it's ridiculous, and a lot of people are just collecting checks for money, and they will be destroyed in their character if they cause harm to children any further. And people are being found in droves. This is the age of technology and information. So anyways, back to inflation. All right, so I'll give you an example. You go to the store and a pound of hamburger or something is like what, like $4 or $5 maybe. Now I'm gonna bring McDonald's or a fast food restaurant into play. McDonald's, because I know their prices. Now, whenever a company or somebody contracts something, they have something contracted. What they do is they go get all their beef. They probably farm their own. I think they farm their own potatoes or contract Idaho potato farmers or something like that. But essentially, so when they get their beef in bulk, it's a lot less expensive than what we're buying. It's a whole thing. So you got to imagine, I say they probably get a pound of ground beef for $2, maybe even less, maybe $3, right? Just a rough estimate. So they cut 10 patties out of their ground beef. That's why they have something called the quarter pounder. You're getting a fourth of a pound with each patty, supposedly. So you got to imagine you're probably spending a good 20, 30 cents per slice of meat. So you figure there's two on a Big Mac, that's like 60 cents, maybe $1 worth of meat. Plus the preservative and fillers and all that other stuff. That has to do with like meat packaging factories and butcher slaughterhouses and stuff. I'm not going to get into all that. So then you're looking at about $1 worth of meat. Then the rest is bread. Now you go get a loaf of bread, and these people are probably contracting their own bread, of course. So you probably got about 10 cents worth of bread on your sandwich. Now you're at about $1.10. Now you add like lettuce, Thousand Island, pickles, blah, blah, fucking blah. You're looking at maybe like $1.15 or $1.20. Maybe. Like you're probably still like $1.10. Then you go over to the fries. You get a bag of potatoes in the stores for like $2, $3. Well, you got to imagine they're like, we're spraying with pesticides. I'm not even finna get in all that. Ooh, McDonald's. But also to defend McDonald's, that guy who made that documentary, Morgan Spreewell, first of all, that has nothing to do with McDonald's. Dude, you ate you ate the same consistent fatty food for a month. Like if you do that with any food, you'll probably get sick. You even look at different animals in nature, they eat different things in nature. They don't eat the same thing every day, all day. Goodness gracious. Anyway, the point is, not only that, if your junk got smaller from eating certain foods, everybody's thing would have been shrunk. But that's a whole nother scientific aspect. Yes, he did eat some preservatives and things that caused that. But you can't say, oh, what are they putting in these children's food? A lot of these preservatives are causing growth. That's where cancers come from. So anyways, the point is, it's like a whole, I'm not finna get into all that. That's medical. But back to the thing at hand. So maybe you're probably eating like 50 cents worth of potatoes in a bag of fries, and a thing of fries, or maybe $1 worth of fries. So you're looking at like maybe $2. Then the soda. A lot of companies give their soda away for free to the employees. I'm not even finna get into how cheap soda is. It's carbonated water, syrup, and sugar. And that's another thing. Like I went to a ball game, and a Pepsi was like $10. I went to Six Flags, and a Sprite was $10. It was like, goodness fucking gracious. So you're probably ordering like $2 worth of food, paying like $14, $15 after tax. And if you get any extra condiments, they're charging you for it. And so when you look at that, when like the older generation was complaining about how stuff costs a lot of money, it's because the people who do, let's say when supply and demand, if something is in demand, you can increase the price because you feel like you'll make more money. That's that's a business tactic. They're teaching that as a business tactic. Then when a cheeseburger goes from like 10 cents to $10, they're like, inflation. What do you think happened? You're teaching to do this. When there's prosperity, increase the price. When things are going bad, lower the price. When things are going bad, you're not even going to sell it. They've been putting us in continual recessions to make people build. I'm going to talk about something else that people, okay, so like Muslims, you guys don't like Muslims, right? That's what you're in the Christian community. Muslims don't charge interest. Did you know that? Not to their friends and family, to no one. And I know these people are kings and princes, but they live according to a lifestyle and their culture, and that's what they're aware to. And so you can't just look at somebody and be like, oh, they're evil, or they're doing this and that and eating all this food. That's how they live, dude. That's their lifestyle. If you were in their civilization, you wouldn't be looking on the outside like some of y'all who walk past homeless people but spend $450 on slides. Why do we even still sell food? I don't understand some concepts. We should be into singularity by now. Okay, I'm sorry. Back to the food costs money to make and you guys heard. Okay, so the point is, so what I'm getting at is when Muslims don't charge interest. But did you know in Judaism they charge everybody else interest, but not themselves? So let me give you an example. Somebody would be like, I got a great business opportunity. I got this or that. I was giving away. If you watch that Atlanta show I was talking about with the Childish Gambino, or Danny Glover, they call him, there's an episode where he's talking to this Jewish man about getting some information or some money or something. When he was talking to the Jewish man, this kind of triggered me because it was true, but I sat back and watched it, and he was like, He asked him for something. The Jewish man said, no, you can't move this like that. And he asked him why. And he was like, because the system won't allow it. You're not high enough in the system and they'll clown you. And so then I sat back and thought about it, and I was like, damn, I know this is entertainment and that he's giving life from his perspective, but it's the truth. So now all these different Jewish people are getting all this money, corporations in a way, and people are like, oh, they're intelligent, they're smart, No. If I have a $10 million contract and you have a contract and you go into a bank of your own people and they don't charge you interest for your loan, do you know how much fucking money they just generated? Just because they're of a blood or kin of something? Akin to other people in these institutions. Do you know what the IMF is? These banks, the Anglo Bank and Israel, all these other banks that are owned by people who are learned already and know about writing Torahs and scrolls because they're educated. Not dumb spiritual. Ooh, I'm telling you, listen to what I'm telling you. They're educated. And then when other people are unaware of being buffooned or baffled by entertainment, cosplay, and lore, different people can move in the shadows while other people are unaware of what's even going on. So there's a lot of Jewish people that aren't of a certain skin color that are getting bombarded over the head. It's not all Jewish people. It's people that are hiding in the shadows for power, lying and creating teachings, archaeological history, science, and all types of lies of history to manipulate people like magicians. That's why they're trying to burn books in America and take away from knowledge and information, because a lot of these Hispanics are indigenous Native Americans and people don't know it. They mix with Spaniards and Europeans a lot, but are indigenous. So how are you deporting people that are indigenous to a land? The same way they came and gutted Africa and named it Egypt, the house of bondage, but it's only like that because of the Asiatic shepherd kings created pharaohs and started enslaving houses or temples. And then they'll put it on Ham or the Africans, the people who were enslaved in the first place. And whenever you hear pharaohs, you think of Africans and blacks and murder, but it was the Asiatic shepherd kings, which are the Semitic people. But they don't teach people that. The Europeans didn't introduce down into history until around 700 BC, or 700 AD, when the Romans went up and started conquering people and started dispelling people out of their lands in Judea and Canaan. So that's a whole nother story. What I'm saying is the same way that they have done that with history and lied. And so if you're not supposed to idol nothing, why is there a picture of a Caucasian man standing like this, talking about he's the ultimate Messiah, when y'all know there was no Europeans in Judea? And the Vikings, the people that the Romans had to fight and got their asses whooped eventually, started taking over the rest of the world, the Anglo-Saxons, Frisians, and Jutes. So what I'm basically saying is what China did coming out, talking about these corporate lies, what Russia has been doing. You guys are talking about Russia. Russia is one of the only nations that have been helping Africa predominantly throughout history. You need to do some research on some of these insurgencies. America is sending insurgencies of weapons and guns in the EU and Europe and conquering and colonizing. And Russia and China is trying to make sure the whole world is cool. You guys will listen to the news, say Russia, 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 and have no idea what you're talking about. So I keep telling people, you guys are playing these revelations and these books. Everything in that book is a metaphor or symbol of something in that book. The four winds is the four rivers at the beginning. The four angels are the Moses and the Exodus, Joshua and the Judges, Elijah and the prophets, John and the apostles. Those are the four angels that had the four rivers and started those four movements. They are released when you read the book and his spirit comes upon the flesh. In the spirit of the Lord or whatever, when they bring the spirit through their writing. The word is the spirit and the Lord and the king and all that, because you read some words and it gets in your head. And a lot of people have been manipulated by false religion. I keep telling you all you atheists, these Christians didn't have a choice. Your ancestors were brutally murdered for this stuff. And then when information and knowledge was lost and people were treated like NPCs and programs, then they started listening to their parents because the parents didn't want their children murdered by religious psychopaths. Just like you could be an atheist all you want, but if people came to your door with guns, you'd be like, praise Jesus real quick if they were psychos, right? And then when they left, when Debo was here, I listened, but when he left, I talked shit again. Okay, that's what I'm basically saying these people in the past were doing. And the same way those kings were taking over kingdoms, the corporate world, look, the Southern plantation, corporate plantation. They didn't want to help the African Americans, Many did, and many Caucasians and different people lost their lives. But now it flipped back on them with all these tariffs and all this other crazy stuff that's going on with politics. I don't even know. Trump is tripping. But anyways, the point is inflation's been here. I can't believe people are spending hundreds, like a video game. I'll give y'all that. Some video games and certain technology, okay, to entertain me and make my life better. And it actually helps with the mind. A lot of people still don't understand the positivity of video games. If you treated school like video games, you could be teaching people a lot of information. I'm telling you all. I've noticed it with mobile games. But anyways, the major point is that we're going in a direction where people are acting like sheep and they follow along and do what other people are doing, even if it's vain. And I'm trying to wake people up from that and get them to follow in their own heart and then follow what's right. Your instincts, basically living life and doing what you need to survive in a way where you're not causing harm or hurting other people. And so if y'all are still, like, even luxury cars, this stuff is, a lot of these cars are plastic now, hard plastics. I'm telling you they are. Rubbers, hard plastics, and assembly lines, yeah, technology and stuff that costs to maintain, but that's all robotic now. These companies are getting surpluses of billions and billions of dollars. Then when they file bankruptcy or get help, all they're doing is playing with paper and stuff, man. There's just so much going on that's why I'm trying to tell people, if I was y'all, I wouldn't worry about money and financial stuff and all that kind of crazy stuff. Because you see, at any moment, these people are losing $30-40 million because the stock market flipped in 10 seconds. It's too much. It's stupid. And so, if I was y'all, I'd stop giving Trump any. That's what he likes anyway. I think he's doing all this to put himself in the center of everything. He just wants to be in the middle, whether good or bad. So, I keep trying to tell y'all, figure something out and find something to do. Learn to do something new in life. I've been solving these Rubik's Cubes. It's really fun. It's something to do. There's nothing to do. As a matter of fact, I think as a token to anybody who's been watching, I'm going to solve it real quick. And I'm going to see how fast I can solve it just in this moment of time. So what I'm going to do, you're going to see me flip it and switch it and blah, blah, blah. But essentially, I want you guys to read that Bible in a sense. I really don't want a lot of people reading it because it's manipulative. And if you start reading it as who I am when you see God or spirit of mine or word of mine or children of mine or nation of mine or people of mine or just symbolizing that it's yours. The Most High is you. Look at that book like information. Who's the one hovering over the book, allowing anything to happen or reading it or learning anything? You're the Most High. And everybody in that book is either angel or demons. You know what I mean? So they either follow the Most High or not. So you're being given a story to live in instead of following your story, so to speak. So right now I'm not solving it still. I'm just switching it up to make sure that it's fully mixed up as possible. You see, I'm just flipping it in every direction. So that way it's completely random. And nobody can say, he kept it in an algorithm, blah, 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 blah. Look, no yellow cross or no daisy or nothing. There's yellow center. Everything's mixed. I'm trying to, okay, get these yellows out the way. Flip this one that way and that one this way. All right, so it is 1632. Let's go. So, yeah, essentially what I want people to do is I want them to find what makes them happy in life. And I want them to read that book in a way where you're not tormented or you're not harmed. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people read that book and then they lean towards a subservience that is like just sadistic. And they justify a lot of sadistic stuff like nation destruction and harming other people for some imaginary God they created in their mind. Because they're the creator. They're creating the God as they go. And really, they're not just creating it. They didn't just wake up and go, oh, God. They read the book. And then they're like, oh, the Lord speaks to us in many ways. Okay, then that means you speak to yourself. Who's the only one talking to you at all times? You. You know what I mean? Even if you don't think you are in constant prayer and thought. All of you are. You just probably aren't connected in a way where you want to give yourself the power because you've been told. We have been given the story of Pharaoh so many times and talking about what happens when a man becomes a god and all that stuff that nobody's ever experienced or done it for themselves, you know what I mean, from what I can tell. And the people that do, they're always so vain and egotistical. They're like, I'm the Mashiach and you better follow. Because whenever I see people saying they're the Mashiach, they never really give any real teaching outside of what we already know. They just basically just get to, they basically say stuff that's in that book. And it's like, well, talk to me about something outside that book. You're a Mashiach, teach me something. And then they're like, just all type of buffoonery. But that's why I try to teach people to just live your life to the best of your ability. You know what I mean? Because people's always going to tell you, the Mashiach is here and the Mashiach is there. But I am within. And the idea is that I am the Mashiach. So if you say that, then you understand what I'm saying. Because when people say they're the only one and the Lord only ordained them, that's when they became liars. Like, so why? That don't even sound right. You only one was ordained and everybody else is just following him. So what happens when he's gone? Is he going to live forever? Is he just going to, you know what I mean? We all come and go, and from our perspective, but where do we go? You know what I mean? Everybody's just playing Bible, cosplaying lore, which is fine. I love cosplaying lore and having a good time and understanding. And, you know, me personally, I'm more of a Marvel fan, you know, but to each their own, you know what I mean? I don't want people thinking that I hate them or nothing. I just don't like when people harm each other over lies. Like what's going on in Palestine right now, I'll tell you two types of people. You have people that'll see what's happening in Palestine right now and they'll root for it. They'll be like, okay, the Lord God, blah, blah, blah. And I think to myself, okay, I start to think to myself, like, why are they rooting for this? But then I notice for the Lord God, they say. And so some people are so caught in lore and cosplay that they're willing to forsake their instincts of knowing something is wrong, and they'll cause harm to people. And that's sad. And that's definitely what I'm trying to avoid, because don't nobody deserve to be hurt because of some religious cosplay. That's stupid to me. But once again, I am only one person, and I can't force anybody to feel any type of way. So, me personally, I tell people I'd rather people learn how to do something, you know, play some music, play a video game, teach people something positive, like maybe solving a Rubik's Cube. Hell, the people who make Rubik's Cube solving videos, if it wasn't for them, it probably would have been a lot harder to learn how to do this. And so now, boom, solved. 4 minutes. It's getting better. I'm at about 3-4 minutes. So, you know, life is not a game, but when you learn how to maneuver and manipulate through it, you can interface like one and still cosplay while reality and respecting my authority. And when I say that, the Most High, in a way that doesn't cause harm, but yet feeds others and helps. Because if you're going to be the Mashiach, I hope you're ready to get down and wash some feet and all that other stuff, and feed people, because that's what Mashiach does, right? But I keep telling y'all I am who I am with the fire, and so I am here for battle. Not none of you all, in the sense where I'm fighting you, but in the sense where I shine light, and you no longer have to hide in the dark. Like when I said, Adam, and Adam was like, whoa, what's going on? What did I do? I didn't mean to eat it. I didn't mean it. Why am I naked? Well, where's all that coming from? So Adam was striking himself on the head, and then as Adam went, he struck his own heel, so to speak, which spread to the children, and they became murderers, because then they dwelled in curses versus life. So stay blessed, stay beautiful, and have a good day.